gentlemen, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Scoreboard here on WSIC. No phone calls today, as this episode was recorded at an earlier time. Thursday to be exact. You guys are going to be hearing it on a Friday. So as always, disclaimer, some of the information may be a little bit out of date, but nonetheless, we're going to have a lot of fun here today. Talk about some sports for the next hour, get you caught up on everything. It is summer, so there's, a few things going on. No high school to talk about, really. Not much local stuff going on. Besides, obviously, we got Charlotte FC, who is struggling to get into the playoffs right now as we get into the second half of that season. But we do have NASCAR going on. We have baseball. It was the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby a couple of days ago. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. It wasn't very good. It was... I guess it was okay. They're losing a lot of ratings, is MLB. But we'll talk about that a little bit because I do have some thoughts on what's going on with Major League Baseball and All-Star games in general. I'm pretty sure that I've talked about this just in passing, that All-Star games and All-Star weekends in general are just kind of losing the appeal. Nobody's watching the Pro Bowl. NHL All-Star Game, they didn't even do the All-Star Game this year because they found a better way to honor players. Basketball is like, okay, the three-point contest isn't that fun anymore. The dunk contest is stale, but let's be honest, how many more different ways can you dunk a basketball, right? I mean, there's only so many ways that you could take a ball and slam it through the hoop. What are we going to see? Somebody jump from the rafters next? I don't know. But All-Star Weekend for Major League Baseball, the Home Run Derby has come and gone. We're going to be getting back into regular season play here coming up in a little bit. We got Friday, actually, is when games are going to be resuming. So as you guys hear this, the first game, 2:20, Boston at Chicago. So baseball's back into the regular season as the All-Star ended. The All-Star game was interesting. We had a nice comeback from the American League in the top of the ninth to tie the game. Nothing happened in the bottom of the ninth, and we had a swing off. I don't know how I feel about the swing off, to be honest with you. It felt gimmicky, but also at the same time, it's like, okay, it's an All-Star game. Shouldn't there be some fun involved in the All-Star game? And I do agree with that. It should be a lot of fun. But man, just seemed like you had a really good game that was going on, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, we're not going to finish this game traditionally. We're going to do a swing off. Kyle Schwarber was the MVP, as he actually is the one who hit he hit 3 home runs. So here's how it worked. If you didn't know, if the All-Star game went into extra innings, it wasn't going to go into extra innings. It was going to go into a home run derby. 3 players from the American, 3 players from the National League, and all of them go out and they get 3 swings. Not 3 outs, 3 swings. There is a difference between outs and swings. We've seen both be used in the All-Star game before, but they were using swings for this. So Schwarber, he replaces Ohtani. He goes 0 for 2 with a walk in the game, but then obviously we got the swing off. So the swing off happens, and the American League is leading it, and then here comes the National League. Kyle Schwarber hits 3 home runs on 3 swings, and that was that. Pete Alonso didn't have a chance to take any swings. They didn't even count this in the box score. Like, as I'm looking at the stats of the game, Kyle Schwarber's official stat line is 2 at-bats, no runs, no hits, no RBIs, a walk, no strikeouts, I mean, I get it. It was an all-star game. Stats don't really matter. Who cares? But at the same time, what are we doing? We're supposed to be playing a game, having a home run derby and the all-star game. Don't we have a home run derby for that specific reason? To do a home run derby. And I will continue to say, until the day I die, if you are a league leader in home runs, the top, whatever you want to do, top 4 in the American, top 4 in the National League, you must participate in the All-Star or in the home run derby. I'm sorry. It has to be part of the contract. Somehow it has to be a requirement that these guys who are having really good years in the home run department have to show it off. That's how you market the game. And they don't do that. So guess what? You have Jazz Chisholm in the home run derby. Why is Jazz Chisholm in the home run derby? Why? It doesn't make any sense. When you look at the league leaders in baseball and you look at home runs, Jazz Chisholm has 17 home runs. He's not even top 20. What are we doing? He's not even top 20, and he's in the home run derby. You have to force these guys to participate. You do. You just do. Because then we would have had Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Eugenio Suarez, Kyle Schwarber. It would have been great. And I get it. Maybe some people are like, well, then you would have Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani in the home run derby every single year. So, well, I'm not seeing a problem. You see the same guys in the All-Star game. You got 10-time All-Stars out there. Paul Skeens started it last year. What am I missing? There's got to be something that I am not understanding here. Because if it were me, I wouldn't even do that. I would take the top 10 in baseball, not the top 5 in the National and top 5 in American. The top 10 in baseball. And I'd say, hey, guess what? You guys are the ones who are going to be doing the home run derby because guess what? You earned it. So you're going to do it. You got to go participate. You're a league leader. We don't take the guy with the 40th best batting average and say, hey, guess what? You're an all-star. No, we take the best in baseball. So why do we pick and choose for the home run derby who we get to have? And then to just finish the All-Star game on a home run derby using players that should have actually been participating in the home run derby to begin with? What are we doing, baseball? You guys are at a crossroads right now. Your demographic, your average viewer is much older than what you want it to be. How are you going to get that down? Not by picking 10 random guys. Now, I get it. They are hitting home runs, but they're not the best at it. And the home run derby should be the best home run hitters, just like the All-Star game is the best hitters and pitchers in the league and fielders in the league. Something's got to change, and it's got to change soon. Or else we got some problems with the All-Star game. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We got a long show ahead of us, a lot coming up. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second segment here on the Scoreboard on this Friday. I'm recording on a Thursday. Just as a reminder, this was recorded earlier in time, and we are proudly sponsored by the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos. Head on down to Huntersville Athletic Park, and you can catch a game. A lot of fun to go watch those games over there down in Huntersville. Now, the Hippos, they are going to be back in town soon. When you look at the schedule that they have There's been a lot of moving pieces here, especially because, as everybody knows, those North Carolina summers, it can rain and then it can stop, and then it can rain and then it can stop, and then it can rain and then it can stop. So we've had some games played. We've had some games postponed. Most recently on Tuesday, the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos won 13-7 against the Greensboro Yard Goats. Now, they were supposed to play on Thursday, which is today for me, so I can't tell you the results of that one, but this game is going to be at the Huntersville Athletic Park. The rest of the games for Lake Norman Harbor Hippos season, which ends on the 20th, is all at the Huntersville Athletic Park. So the season's coming to an end very quickly. We've had a lot of postponements, a lot of cancellations due to weather restrictions. Obviously, if it's raining, you can't really play any baseball. So unfortunately, a lot of games have been moved around. But there are 5 remaining games, 4 games left for you listening. We got 1 Thursday, 2 Friday, 1 Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. That double header on Friday is going to be 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Plan accordingly if you want to go check out the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos. And they're having a pretty decent season when you look at the standings and the overall year that the Hippos are having. Right now, they've played 26 games. In the division, they are 10-13, so a little bit rough in that sense. Overall, 11-15. They are 4th in the mountain standings right now. So unfortunately, I do not believe we'll be seeing any postseason baseball for the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos. But hey, year 1, congratulations to everybody over there. It's been a lot of fun. Next up, I want to move on from baseball. I'm frustrated enough as it is, honestly. I wasn't able to watch the whole All-Star game, but I did see the highlights. I saw the comeback, how they scored those 2 runs in the top of the 9th. And you have all this drama and all this buildup, and yes, it's great. And then we're just going to pump the brakes and have a home run derby to decide the winner. It seems very lazy. Very lazy. But anyway, we're going to move on. Regular season baseball is back. Before we move on to something else, let's at least go ahead and talk about the standings in the major leagues right now. The AL East sees the Toronto Blue Jays, who have been red hot lately, 2 games above the New York Yankees. In the AL Central, the Tigers are running away with it, 11.5 games ahead of those Minnesota Twins. In the AL West, the Houston Astros have a 5-game lead over the Mariners. In the NL East, we once again have a close race between the Phillies and the Mets. This is going to be one to keep an eye on as we get to the end of the season. Phillies have a half-game lead right now. NL Central sees the Cubs up by a game over the Brewers. And in the West, it's the Dodgers, who would have thought, 5.5 games over the Padres, 6 games over the Giants. Now, when you look at the wild cards and how that stacks up right now, Tigers, Astros, Blue Jays would be in the American League as the division winners. Your wild card teams would be the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Mariners, with the Tampa Bay Rays being the first team out, only a game and a half back. In the National League, the Dodgers, the Cubs, and the Phillies are your league leaders, where you have the Brewers, Mets, and Padres all as the wild card teams, with the Giants a half game back. So there's still a lot of baseball to be played. There are a few teams that I would say are out of it. Maybe not mathematically, but I don't see the Athletics, the White Sox, or Pirates, Nationals, Rockies. I don't see any of those teams making any run anytime soon. Surprising how bad the Braves have been this year with a 42-53 record. Also very surprising with the Baltimore Orioles with the year that they had last year, the Orioles being 43-52. Now, they fired their coach earlier in the year, their manager, I should say, but doesn't seem to have been doing much to help them out. So there are some teams that hopefully get it turned around here in the second half of the year, as we're in the stretch now. August around the corner, dog days of summer, and then it's the push to the playoffs for Major League Baseball. We'll continue to update you as I always do. But before we talk more baseball, I'm going to switch gears here, literally switch gears to NASCAR. And oh boy, the thing that I thought could happen might be happening, and I don't know how I feel about it. It's not correct in any sense of the imagination. It's actually pretty bad what's going on right now. And I'll tell you what, the NASCAR website does a terrible job of showing the playoff picture and where things stand right now. But that's beside the point. Shane Van Gisbergen has scored his third win of the season. He has 3 top 5s. They're all wins. They're all on road courses too. So Shane Van Gisbergen gets the win at the Toyota Save Mart 350 from Sonoma Raceway. I guess it was an interesting race. The Xfinity race was a lot better. The best part of the Cup race was the burnout that SVG did. Oh my gosh. Giving high fives while you're burning it down. That is just, whew, man. You'll see that for a while, in my opinion. Now, the Xfinity race, in my opinion, was a lot better. It was a much better race and a much better finish with Connor Zilisch and SVG going at it. Connor Zilisch is a very, very serviceable road course racer. He took the fight right to SVG, and it ended up working out for him. So you can't be all that mad about it. Now, SVG won at Mexico, he won at Chicago, and he won at Sonoma. That gives him 3 wins on the season. When you look at the standings, those 3 wins have translated into 17 playoff points. Third most in the sport. Only behind Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. He is also the second driver this year. The 4th driver this year to earn 3 wins. So we have 4 different drivers with 3 wins, one of them only winning on road courses. SVG would start the playoffs 17 points above the cut line. In those 3 races, we talked about it last week, what those 3 races are: Darlington, WWT, and Bristol. And once again, if he moves on, he might win the Roval. He might go to the round of 8. And if he wins at the Roval, before we even get to the Roval, next week we go to Indianapolis. Then we go to Iowa. After Iowa, we go to another road course. We go to Watkins Glen. SVG very well could win, get another stage win as well, and have over 20 playoff points going into the playoffs. 20 would put him second. Kyle Larson has 3. Is it fair? I guess. We put that many road courses on the schedule, right? You got one guy who's far and above better than everybody else. I think it's fair. Now, is it fair that SVG could potentially go win a championship? No. I mean, just look at the regular season standings. He's 26th. Why are people all up in arms about SVG when he's 26? When Josh Berry has a win, he's 21st. Austin Cindric has a win, he's 20th. Is it fair that those guys are going to go race for a championship and they've had mediocre seasons? No, I don't think it is. But here we are, in a situation where NASCAR has set it up so that we have all these drivers who are undeserving of a championship having a chance to go get a championship. And it's got to change. We're not going to get into the playoffs right now. But it is very interesting to see how the playoff points are stacking up, where we are, what the season would look like in the playoffs as we move forward into August, September, and then getting into the playoffs in October. We're going to go to our next commercial break here. We're going to talk a little bit more about NASCAR before we wrap up the NASCAR scene. And then we're going to move on to some other things that are going on around the world of sports. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot to talk about still here on the Scoreboard. We'll be back right after this. We are back here, halfway point on the Scoreboard. Scoreboard proudly presented, as you can see, by the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos. A couple days left in the season. Not many more chances to go watch a game. I highly recommend it. They're a lot of fun over at the Huntersville Athletic Park. We're going to talk a little bit of NASCAR still. We were talking about Sonoma, the race at Sonoma. Shane Van Gisbergen winning again, getting his third of the season. More playoff points for him. It propels him to 26th in the driver's standings right now. Here's something interesting for you. Shane Van Gisbergen is higher in points than Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suarez, Noah Gragson, Cole Custer, just to name a few. I didn't think he would be that high in points, to be honest with you, but when you win all the road courses, you got a chance at it. I'm still surprised he didn't win Circuit of the Americas. I don't know how that happened. Somehow he didn't win it. But he's won the last three, and we got one more before the playoffs, and then we got one in the playoffs. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We are only a few races away from the end of the regular season. And as we go towards the end of the regular season, there's something looming large over NASCAR right now. And it's the lawsuit that was filed by 2311 and Front Row Racing. Or Front Row Motorsports, I should say. There's a few updates for you here. As of late, the official mandate of appeals court decision vacating the initial injunction has been issued. Still waiting on a district court decision on the temporary restraining order request on whether they will be chartered this weekend. No timeline. Today or tomorrow will get decision. That's from Bob Pockris. Oh man, NASCAR is really making a mistake with this one. Here's the situation. 2311 and Front Row had the injunction thrown out that said that they could race as a chartered team for the rest of the year. Well, they're appealing that. And they're filing a restraining order against NASCAR because what NASCAR is trying to do is immediately sell their charters, 2311 and Front Row. Don't do it. Don't throw Michael Jordan out of your sport. I can't think of a worse idea. I really can't. You can't throw Jordan out of your sport. Like, what are we doing here, NASCAR? Why are you not allowing these guys to race as a chartered team? Because according to NASCAR, and this is all court filing stuff, NASCAR says that at the beginning of the season, when 2311 and Front Row decided not to sign the charter agreement, they automatically took the charters away and were going to sell them. But the court said, no, don't do that yet. They should race as chartered. Then the court said, no, they can't race as chartered. 2311 filed an appeal. We're in a big holding pattern right now. But according to Bob Pockris and other reporters around the NASCAR scene, 2311 and Front Row Racing have already filled out the paperwork to compete as open cars. Non-chartered cars. Now, the thing is, if you're an open car, the payout is nowhere near as well as if you are a chartered car. The other thing is chartered cars have guaranteed spots in the race. Open cars don't. Now you have Tyler Reddick, who drives for 2311, who is currently sitting fourth in the standings, is no longer guaranteed into every single race. There's also no guarantee that 2311 and Front Row will be able to field race cars for the rest of the season. So basically right now, what is apparently happening is NASCAR is trying to go to the courts to say, we're going to reverse the sale of 2311 and Front Row Motorsports charters, and we're going to sell them. That's not right. Because if in December, if the teams win in December, they're not getting that charter back. They're going to have to wait for more charters to go on sale. And I can tell you right now, they're not going to compete a full season as an open car. Here's what I think is going to happen as a real to NASCAR. I think if Bubba Wallace does not make the playoffs, and right now he's 13th in the regular standings, but he's right on the edge of making it because there's 3 drivers below him with a win. If he doesn't make the playoffs, he's not going to race. When Tyler Reddick gets eliminated, they're not going to field the car anymore. I don't think they're going to field the 35 car in the playoffs. I don't. 35 being Riley Herbst, sitting 35th in the standings, next to last of the drivers who have competed in all 20 races. Now, there's one driver that hasn't done that. That's Denny Hamlin. We talked about it before when we were in Mexico. His wife had a baby. NASCAR quickly gave him the waiver to compete in the playoffs, which rare that we say this on the show, but thumbs up to NASCAR on that one. As far as Front Row Motorsports, Front Row Racing, Front Row Motorsports, FRM goes, I don't know what they're going to do. They're not going to have a car in the playoffs, probably. Unless Michael McDowell can find himself a win. I'm sorry, not Michael McDowell. But anyway, even then, why would you race if you're not in the playoffs? Why would you race if you're not in the playoffs? There's nothing to race for. You are, at that point, spending more money than you're receiving from NASCAR with payouts, because as NASCAR has structured it, only chartered teams get the big payouts. I just lost my train of thought. Completely lost it. The teams that are open, they don't get as much money as a chartered team who would finish in the same position, basically is what I'm trying to say. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know what NASCAR is going to do. I don't know what 2311 is going to do. Once again, I think it's a terrible idea for them to try to push Michael Jordan out of the sport by taking his charters away. If I'm NASCAR, maybe just wait. Maybe just agree, okay, you know what? Race is a chartered car for the rest of the year. But if we win, then we're taking your charters because we won and you didn't sign the agreement. But right now, what are we doing? Middle of the season, you're going to force somebody out of the sport? It's a really bad idea, NASCAR. It's a really bad idea. All right, we got one segment left here on the scoreboard on this Friday. We're going to talk about some other things that are going on around the world of sports, as well as some things that happened on this day in sports history. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the final segment here on the scoreboard. No phone calls today. This episode is pre-recorded. Talked a lot of baseball, talked a lot of NASCAR today. By the way, The Cup Series heads to Dover. We finally get to go in a circle again. I know, everybody is pretty sick and tired of the road course racing, in my opinion. Because when you look at the schedule, it's insane. We went to Mexico, then we had Pocono in Atlanta, and then 2 road courses after that. So 3 road courses and 5 races. I think everybody's ready to go oval racing. I know I am. I'm looking forward to some ovals. I'll tell you that much. There's a few things in the world of sports that are going on. One that happened earlier today is a contract extension in the NFL. And I'm not going to talk about the NFL collusion case. We spent plenty of time on that last week. It's kind of out of the news now. You know, other things are happening. There's going to be no fallout from that. I promise you, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. It's just they got caught with their pants around their ankles. So TJ Watt, everybody knows TJ Watt with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3-year contract extension worth how much? $123 million. $123 million. Yes, you heard me correctly. TJ Watt now becomes the highest paid non-quarterback on a year-to-year average salary in the history of the NFL. $108 million of that is fully guaranteed at signing. It is a $41 million average per year value. The highest before that was Myles Garrett, who had $40 million a year. Do players get upset? Like, is Myles Garrett upset about this now? He was the highest paid player for like a solid month. And now he's not. So there's that. That's one of the things that has happened. Here's an interesting one. Mike Williams has decided to retire from the NFL at the age of 30. He had been working out with the Chargers, but I guess he decided this is the end of it for him. Decided to hang up the cleats a little early, in my opinion. Mike Williams, still a very serviceable wide receiver. But Mike Williams retires. We got a lot of NFL news that from today, from the day that I'm recording it, that really doesn't have much to do with anything other than players. Like Rashee Rice. Remember that car accident that he was involved in, causing a multi-car crash last year? Well, he was sentenced today to 30 days of jail time and 5 years of probation. Rashee Rice pled guilty to 2 third-degree felony charge, collisions involving serious bodily injury, and racing on a highway causing bodily injury. So he pled guilty to a felony, did Rashee Rice. He got 30 days and 5 years probation. He is paid over $115,000 in restitution to the victims of the crash for their medical expenses. This is according to the district attorney's office. The NFL now is going to discipline Rice. Now that the court filings are done, the sentencing is done, now the NFL is going to levy their punishment on Rashee Rice. And many people are expecting a multi-game suspension, which is going to come during the 2025 season. So there is another update for you. Rashee Rice, that was a last year story that finally is getting kind of wrapped up, at least in the eyes of the law. Now, in the eyes of the NFL, they still have their wheel of punishment that they get to spin. You know, they're going to get the wheel, they're going to spin it, and they say, well, how many games? Stop! 5-game suspension. Yay! That's exactly how they do it in the league office. I have plenty of sources on that. They spin the wheel, they go, big suspension, no whammy, stop! Yay! So Rashee Rice, we'll see how many games he ends up getting suspended for, but he will be suspended. Here's something for you that I find interesting. An arbitrator in February ruled in favor of the NFL in a grievance that the NFL Players Association, including then President J.C. Tretter, encouraged running backs to exaggerate injuries to increase leverage during contract disputes. J.C. Tretter has been in the news a lot lately for his role as president of the NFL Players Association. Now, the ruling made by Sidney Moreland based on the hearings in 2024 had not been made public until, guess who? Pablo Torre, yes, the same guy who exposed the NFL for collusion, put it out on his podcast earlier today. So I don't know how people are feeling about J.C. Tretter right now, to be honest with you. He was released from the Browns a few years ago. Then he was elected the president he was elected the president. Then he was released. It really is a mess what's going on with the NFL and the NFLPA. Now, I'm not in the weeds on this. I don't have all of the information. But from what I've heard and from what I've seen and what I've read over the past few days, there's a lot of talk that we don't know about how players should act, about how teams should act, about how owners should act, all in the grand scheme of things, and for lack of a better term, all because of colluding together. So the players are colluding to fake injuries to get their contracts higher when they go through negotiations. The teams are colluding with each other to not give out guaranteed contracts. It's a mess. Something's got to change. And I'll tell you what, Roger Goodell is going to be out soon. He's not going to be the commissioner forever, obviously. He's going to be out soon. What does the next commissioner do about this? Now, when I saw the headline, faking injuries, I thought this had to do with players falling on the field, faking an injury to get a timeout when they might not have a timeout. This is a little bit more serious than that. Now, because it was today, I haven't had all the time in the world to go over it, but I wanted to at least make sure that I give you the Cliff Notes version of it, which is J.C. Tretter once again encouraging people to do a certain thing for leverage. Very interesting. All right, we are almost out of time here on the scoreboard. So let's get into some things that happened on this day, I'll do tomorrow for me, today for you guys. So on this day, July 18th, let's go to the most recent one as we always do. 2021 British Open. Colin Morikawa becomes the first male in history to go win his debut at two separate major events. He beat Jordan Spieth by 2 strokes during the British Open. That was on this day, 2021. 2008. This isn't really sports, but it has to do with a sports team. Billy Joel performs the last of 2 concerts dubbed The Last Play at Shea, the final concert before demolition of Shea Stadium in Flushing Meadows, Queens. The guests that showed up, Roger Daltrey, Tony Bennett, Garth Brooks, Paul McCartney. That was the last play at Shea. Let's see, 1999, David Cone becomes the 5th pitcher in history to throw 15th pitcher in history to throw a perfect game. That was on this day, 1999. Let's see, what else do we have? Something a little older. 1921, Babe Ruth achieves 139 home runs with an MLB record 575-foot home run. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know how they were measuring home runs back then. But in 1921, Babe Ruth apparently hit a 575-foot home run. Now, I've seen him swing. I've watched videos of his swing. I don't know how he's hitting the ball 517 feet, but who knows? And let's go with the oldest thing that happened on this day, July 18th. 1878, Wimbledon men's tennis. Frank Haddo makes his lone Wimbledon appearance and wins, defeating the defending champion Spencer Grove. That was on this day, 1878. Oh, big thank you to everyone for tuning into the program today. I always have a lot of fun talking to you guys and hanging out with you. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Until then, have a good one, everyone. I'll see you then.